I opened the safe to look for my jewelry and found it empty. My daughter-in-law looked at me and calmly said, "Mother-in-law, we donated everything. You don't need those anymore." I met her eyes and replied evenly, "You're right, I don't need them anymore. But you're going to need a lawyer." The color drained from her face. My hands trembled as I turned the familiar combination dial. 3 turns right, 2 left, 1 right. The same code I'd used for 30 years. The lock clicked open, echoing in the silent closet. Empty. The emerald earrings from my 20th birthday, my mother's pearls, the gold bracelets for each of my children's births, the diamond ring for my first granddaughter. 30 years of memories, gone. My knees weakened. I clung to the doorframe, struggling for air. How? No one knew the code. No one except, "Looking for something, mother-in-law?" Valerie's voice came from behind me, calm, almost amused. She stood at the doorway, that practiced smile never reaching her eyes. "My jewels, they're gone," I said. She crossed her arms. "Oh, the jewelry, right." My stomach dropped. "Do you know where they are?" She sighed. "We donated everything. You don't need that stuff anymore." "Donated?" I whispered. "They were mine, my husband's gifts, my memories." She shrugged. "They're just material things. You always say it's what's in the heart that matters, right? Besides, at your age, what do you need jewelry for? You never go anywhere." Tears stung my eyes, but I refused to let them fall. I took a slow breath, then another, and looked straight at her. "You're right, Valerie. I don't need those jewels anymore." Her smug smile returned. I took a step forward. "But you're going to need a lawyer." Her expression shifted instantly, her confidence cracking. For the first time in months, she had no words. In that moment, I knew this wasn't over. I wasn't the fragile old woman she thought I was. I had been married to a lawyer for 40 years, raised 4 children, and built a life from nothing. No one would take the last pieces of my history without consequence. Valerie stepped back. "Mother-in-law, I don't know what you're talking about." "You don't yet," I said quietly, "but you will." I walked out, leaving her pale and shaken. That afternoon, I made the most important call of my life, a call that would change everything. What did I do next? Call the police? Confront my son? The truth was far more complicated. To understand, you need to go back 3 years, to the worst day of my life, the day I buried Ernest. It was March, a gray Tuesday that smelled of damp earth and white lilies. I wore the black dress Ernest always said made me look elegant. After 42 years together, a heart attack had taken him from me one ordinary morning, as we ate breakfast, planning our next trip to Florida. I never got to say goodbye. The months that followed were unbearable. The house, once full of laughter, became silent. His coffee cup stayed on the table, his armchair by the TV, his scent on the pillows I refused to wash. My 4 children visited often. Lauren lived in Denver, Charles in Nashville, Patricia in Austin, and Robert, the youngest, here in Chicago. Robert called every 2 days, spent Sundays with me, brought my favorite pastries. 6 months after the funeral, he arrived one evening with someone new. "Mom, this is Valerie." She was beautiful, dark hair, bright smile, warm eyes. She handed me a bouquet of sunflowers. "Mrs. Beatrice, it's such an honor to meet you. Robert talks about you all the time. I'm so sorry for your loss." I remember thinking, maybe this is a blessing. Maybe she'll bring light back into my life. And for a while, she did. Valerie cooked with me, walked me to the market, made me feel less alone. When Robert proposed, I cried tears of joy. The wedding was simple and lovely, and I helped pay for part of it. One afternoon over coffee, Valerie said, "You're alone in this big house, and we're in a tiny apartment. What if we moved in? We could keep you company." My heart leapt. Robert added, "Just until we save up for a place of our own." "What do you think, Mom?" I agreed instantly. 2.5 years ago, they moved in. At first, everything was perfect. Valerie cooked. We watched movies on Fridays. Robert grilled on Sundays like his father used to. I felt alive again. But the changes started quietly, one after another. "This furniture is so old," Valerie said one day. "We should redecorate." I agreed. It was just furniture. Then came the kitchen renovation. Then comments about my clothes, my friends, my spending. "No, mother-in-law. You shouldn't buy that. It's wasteful." And I listened, afraid they'd move out and leave me alone again. The worst came when she offered to manage my finances. "You shouldn't deal with bills and paperwork. Let me handle it. You just need to sign here." I signed, unaware that I'd just given her full control over everything I owned. Slowly, the house stopped feeling like mine. Decisions were made without me. My voice no longer mattered. Even the vase Ernest had brought me from Santa Fe disappeared without a word. The paintings my sister gifted me were gone, given away. My grandmother's china had been donated because Valerie called it clutter. When I objected, she looked at me with pity. "You're becoming so difficult. Don't hold on to the past." Robert never intervened. He was always at work, exhausted when he came home. And when I tried to speak up, he'd simply say, "Mom, Valerie's right. Stop worrying about these things." My other children saw what I refused to. "Mom, that woman is controlling you," Lauren warned me over the phone. "Don't you see it?" I defended Valerie. "She's just helping me. Don't be unfair." Lauren only sighed. "Someday, you'll regret this." And she was right. Living with Valerie felt like walking barefoot on broken glass every day, and no one else could see it. To outsiders, she was the perfect daughter-in-law. Inside my home, she was something entirely different. My mornings, once peaceful, became unbearable. I'd always rise early, 6 a.m., make coffee, listen to the news. But Valerie decided that was too noisy. "Mother-in-law, could you have breakfast later? I need my sleep. You make too much noise." She called my life noise, so I started moving quietly, barely breathing, afraid even the sound of my cup would disturb her. I became a guest in my own kitchen. Her control over my money deepened each week. One day, I wanted to buy a birthday gift for my granddaughter, Sarah. I reached for my wallet. Empty. My debit card was missing. "Valerie, have you seen my card?" I asked. Without looking up from her phone, she replied, "I have it. I'm managing the expenses now." "What do you need it for?" I said softly. "I want to buy Sarah a present." She sighed. "We already got her something from the family. You don't need to spend extra." "But I always get her something special," I insisted. "At your age, you shouldn't waste money on whims. Why spoil the girl?" That day, for the first time in 12 years, I arrived at Sarah's party empty-handed. The disappointment in her eyes when she asked, "Grandma, where's my present?" still haunts me. Next came my book club. Every Thursday, we met at my friend Linda's house, a small joy that kept me sane. But Valerie began finding excuses to keep me home. "You're going out again? It's cloudy. You might catch a cold. I can't leave you alone today. Those women just fill your head with gossip." I tried to resist. "Don't be stubborn," she said sweetly. "I'm only worried about you." Then came the worst blow. One afternoon, Linda called me concerned. "Beatrice, are you all right? Valerie told me you shouldn't come out because your health is fragile." I froze. "What? I'm perfectly fine." "She said you've been forgetting things, getting confused, that your doctor advised against going out alone." I felt the ground vanish beneath me. Valerie was spreading lies that I was losing my mind. When I confronted her, she smiled innocently. "Oh, that's a misunderstanding. I only said we should take better care of you." But the damage was done. My friends began treating me like a fragile child. Eventually, I stopped going altogether. Then came the final humiliation. One Saturday, I wanted to go to the beauty salon, to feel like myself again. I asked Valerie for some money. She laughed. "The salon? For what, mother-in-law? You never go out. It's a waste of money. I just want to feel good, I said. At your age, that doesn't matter anymore. We need to save. She looked me over coldly. If you want, I can cut your hair right here for free. I'll never forget that moment. Ernest, my late husband, always told me I was the most elegant woman he knew. He made me feel beautiful, even in my 60s. Now his son's wife was telling me it wasn't worth trying to look presentable. The worst part was Robert. He said nothing. My son had become a shadow, working late, eating silently, retreating to his room. Whenever I tried to talk to him alone, Valerie appeared. "What are you two whispering about?" she'd say, and Robert would lower his head. One night, I found him sitting in the backyard, alone. I joined him, summoning my courage. "Robert, honey, I need to talk." He didn't look at me. "What is it, Mom?" "It's Valerie. Things here, I feel like this isn't my home anymore." He stiffened. "Mom, don't start. Valerie's just trying to help you." "Help me? She took my money, isolates me from friends." "Enough," he shouted. "You're exaggerating. Valerie's doing her best to care for you. Do you know how much she sacrifices?" I couldn't believe it. My own son defending her. "Robert, no, Mom. You're the problem. You refuse to move on. You make Valerie feel unwelcome." He left me there in tears. But before he turned away, I caught a flicker in his eyes. Doubt, maybe guilt. It vanished too quickly to be sure. That night, I realized something painful. I had no allies. Valerie had won. She'd turned my son against me, isolated me from my friends, taken control of my money, my choices, my life. And I had allowed it, out of fear, loneliness, and denial. I couldn't bear to admit that the woman my son loved had poisoned everything, but I still didn't know how far she was willing to go. The worst was yet to come. After I discovered the empty safe and saw the panic in Valerie's eyes when I mentioned a lawyer, I did the one thing she didn't expect. I stayed quiet. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I acted. I closed my bedroom door, sat on the edge of the bed, and took a few steady breaths. My hands trembled as I picked up my phone and searched for a name I hadn't dialed since Ernest's funeral. Patrick Miller. He was Ernest's best friend, law partner for 30 years, Robert's godfather, and the one man who knew every detail of our finances and estate. The phone rang twice before his familiar voice answered. "Beatrice, is that you?" Hearing his warmth nearly broke me. "Patrick, I need your help." "What happened? Are you okay?" "I'm being robbed by my own family." He paused. "Don't say anything else over the phone. Can you come to my office tomorrow at 10? "Yes." "Good. Ernest made me promise I'd always help you. We'll fix this tomorrow." I hung up feeling something I hadn't in months. Hope. The next morning, I told Valerie I had a doctor's appointment. Without looking up from her phone, she said, "Do you need me to come?" "No, I'll take a cab." "Don't be back too late," she muttered, as if giving me permission. Patrick's office was still in the same downtown building. I rode to the 4th floor, heart pounding. He greeted me with a hug that made me feel safe for the first time in years. "Sit, Beatrice. Tell me everything." So I did. I told him about the missing jewelry, the money, Valerie's control, the daily humiliation, and how my son had become a stranger. Patrick listened quietly, taking notes, his brow tightening as I spoke. When I finished, he removed his glasses. "Beatrice, this is financial elder abuse. Under state law, it's fraud, and possibly domestic economic violence. Can I do anything?" "We can do a lot, but I need your consent to begin a formal investigation. Do you trust me?" "With my life." "Then give me a week." That week felt endless. Each tick of the living room clock echoed in my head. Every time Valerie entered a room, I froze. I played the role she expected, the quiet, obedient woman. I smiled when she gave instructions, nodded when she corrected me, and stayed silent while she dictated my days. But inside, I was seething. 7 days later, Patrick called. "Come in tomorrow, I have information." When I arrived, a thick folder sat on his desk. "Beatrice," he said carefully, "this won't be easy. He opened it and pulled out documents. First, the jewelry. I hired a private investigator. They weren't donated. My heart dropped. Where are they? Pawn shop on the south side, under the name Valerie Ramirez. For how much? $35,000. My chest tightened. Ernest's emeralds, my mother's pearls. 40 years of memories sold for cash. There's more. He handed me bank statements. Since giving Valerie access, there have been constant withdrawals and transfers. I swallowed hard. How much? $89,000. Almost $100,000. Money from your pension and the land sale. It's gone. The room seemed to stop spinning. Can I recover it? Yes, but we must do this carefully. If you confront her, she'll hide or destroy evidence and manipulate Robert into protecting her. So, we collect proof quietly. Patrick pulled out another file. Let's review your legal position. Ernest left this house entirely in your name. There are no co-owners or heirs until after your death. Valerie has no legal right to it. You can ask them to leave anytime. Relief washed over me. As for your finances, he continued, we'll open a new account in your name only and move the remaining funds before she notices. What if she gets angry? Let her. It's your money. I left that office with a plan Valerie would never see coming. The cool city air filled my lungs. For the first time in years, I held my head high. The next day, I opened the new account and transferred the remaining $21,000 before Valerie could touch it. I collected every document and had the investigator photograph the pawn jewelry. Then I started recording everything. My phone became my secret weapon. I'd leave it on the table, capturing her words. I recorded Valerie saying, I've almost convinced Robert to get the old woman to sign over power of attorney. After that, we can do whatever we want. Another day, she complained, this house needs a full renovation. I'm not living in a museum. I even caught Robert's voice asking, what if Mom finds out? And Valerie's chilling reply, she won't. She barely thinks straight anymore. Each recording cut deep, but it was also evidence. Patrick taught me to wait, to let her grow careless and make one irreversible mistake. But before that happened, came the day that truly broke me. September 23rd, my birthday. For 68 years, that day had been filled with flowers, calls, and laughter. Ernest always woke me up with roses. My children would phone all day. But this year was different. It was my first birthday without him. That morning, I woke up uneasy. Robert had left for work. Valerie was still asleep. I waited, made coffee, watched the clock. 8 o'clock passed, then 9 o'clock, then 10 o'clock, nothing. At 11 o'clock, Valerie finally came out, scrolling on her phone. Morning, mother-in-law. Morning, I replied, waiting for some acknowledgement, but she simply poured herself some juice, sat down, and began eating without even glancing at me. Nothing. No happy birthday, no hug, nothing. I swallowed the lump in my throat. The coffee in my cup had gone cold and bitter, much like my life at that moment. Around 3 p.m., I heard Valerie on the phone. Yes, come over around 7. Bring snacks. It's going to be great. My heart lifted for a moment. A party? Were they planning a surprise for me? How naive of me to think that. At 6, Valerie found me in the living room. Mother-in-law, a few of my friends are coming over soon. Could you stay in your room for a while? We might be a bit loud. I froze. Your friends? Valerie, today is my birthday. She blinked briefly. Oh, that's right. Happy birthday, mother-in-law, she said before continuing to tidy up. Valerie, I thought that. What did you think? She interrupted. Nothing. Forget it. Well then, could you help me with the snacks? And there I was on my own birthday, preparing food for the friends of the woman stealing from me. At 7, they began arriving. 5 women, loud and flashy, carrying bottles of wine. Valerie greeted them warmly. This is my mother-in-law, Beatrice. Mother-in-law, say hello and then you can go upstairs if you want to rest." She said it as if I were an obstacle in her perfect setting, but I didn't move. Something inside me refused to hide away on my own birthday. I sat quietly in the corner, unnoticed. They played music, drank, and laughed. No one spoke to me. I sat there in the blue dress Ernest had once given me, feeling like a ghost in my own home. Then I overheard the conversation that broke me. Valerie was in the kitchen with two friends. It was close enough for me to hear. "So, when are you and Robert moving into your own place?" one asked. Valerie lowered her voice slightly. "Why would we? This house will be ours soon enough." "What do you mean?" The old woman already signed papers without reading them. "Robert has power of attorney. It's just a matter of time." My stomach turned. "But what about her?" "I've almost convinced Robert to put her in a home," Valerie said. "He's got a cousin in Nashville who runs a decent facility. Not too pricey. Once she's there," she let out a cold laugh, "we'll sell this house and buy something modern. It's worth $800,000. Can you imagine?" "But what if she refuses?" "Please," Valerie scoffed. "She's senile. She forgets everything. It won't be hard to get a doctor to confirm she needs care." The three women laughed. I was only 10 feet away, listening as they planned to erase my life. And then Robert walked in. He greeted Valerie's friends with a smile. "Come here, honey," Valerie called. I watched them whisper in the kitchen. I couldn't hear the words, but I saw Valerie point toward me, and I saw Robert's uneasy face. Then he nodded, my own son, agreeing to lock me away and take everything I had built. Something inside me broke then, not with tears or screams, but with quiet finality. The last bit of love I had for them vanished. I stood up silently. No one noticed me leave. They were too busy laughing and drinking my wine. Robert didn't look up. I went upstairs, closed my door, and sat on the edge of my bed. Then, for the first time that night, I cried. I cried for Ernest, for my lost jewelry, for the son who had betrayed me, for the woman I had become, small, scared, invisible. But most of all, I cried with anger. My fists clenched the bed sheets until my knuckles turned white. Downstairs, they were celebrating my future disappearance, while I sat there like a coward. I looked into the mirror. My eyes were swollen, makeup smeared, my blue dress wrinkled. I looked defeated, until I saw something else. The eyes of the woman who had raised 4 children while Ernest worked double shifts. The hands of the woman who built a home from nothing. The strength of the woman who survived widowhood. And I made a choice. No more. No more hiding. No more submission. No more being the helpless old woman Valerie wanted me to be. I wiped my tears, stood up, and took out my phone. I dialed Patrick Miller. "Patrick, it's Beatrice. Are you okay? It's late. I need you to move faster. I can't wait any longer. Today's my birthday, and I just overheard my daughter-in-law planning to put me in a home, with my son's consent." There was silence. "Beatrice, I'm so sorry. I don't want pity. I want justice. When can we act?" Patrick exhaled. "Give me 2 weeks. I'll have everything ready. The evidence, the documents, the witnesses. We'll end this once and for all." 2 weeks, I said, "but I need one more thing." "What is it?" "I need my other children here, Lauren, Charles, and Patricia. I need them to witness what's coming. I'll make it happen. Anything else?" I glanced toward my bedroom door. Downstairs, laughter filled the house, my house, on my birthday. "Yes," I said quietly. "I want Valerie to remember the day she underestimated Beatrice Miller." When I hung up, I looked in the mirror again. But this time, the woman staring back wasn't a victim. She was ready. Valerie was about to learn that her biggest mistake was humiliating me on my birthday. The 2 longest weeks of my life began the next morning. I woke up with swollen eyes but a clear mind. Downstairs, I heard Valerie cleaning up the remains of her party. Empty bottles, dirty dishes, the scent of stale wine. I walked down to find her tidying the living room. Annoyed. Morning, mother-in-law. My friends left quite a mess, didn't they? Valerie said casually the next morning. I looked at her in silence. Did you enjoy your party? I asked, the sarcasm lost on her. Oh, yes, it was amazing. Such a shame you went to bed so early. I smiled faintly, one that didn't reach my eyes. Yes, a shame, I said before walking into the kitchen, seething inside. That same afternoon, while Valerie was out shopping with money she didn't yet realize she no longer controlled, I sat in Patrick's office. All right, Beatrice, he began, spreading out the documents. Here's what we have so far. He showed me the investigator's photos of my jewelry at the pawn shop, the bank statements with highlighted withdrawals, and the suspicious transfers. This is strong evidence, he said, but to build a solid case, we need witnesses, people who've seen the changes since Valerie moved in. Family, friends, anyone. I thought of my daughter Lauren, how she had warned me early on. Lauren lives in Denver, I said. She always suspected something was wrong. Perfect, Patrick replied. Can you get her here? Yes, but I don't want Valerie getting suspicious. He smiled. Then we'll create a reason, a family visit perhaps. That night, I called Lauren. Mom, are you okay? You rarely call this late. Honey, I need you to come visit. Did something happen? Yes, but I can't talk about it over the phone. Please, trust me. Can you come this weekend? After a pause, she said softly, Mom, you're scaring me. Just come, Lauren. It's urgent. I'll be there Friday, she said. I called my other two children as well, Charles in Nashville and Patricia in Austin. I told Valerie it was just a family get-together, that I missed everyone. She frowned. Why do they all need to come? Did something happen? I just want to see my family, I said calmly. Is that a problem? For the first time, I saw a flicker of unease in her eyes. No, of course not. It's your house. But I noticed how tightly she gripped her phone. Lauren arrived Friday night. The moment she saw me, her expression changed. Mom, you're so thin. Are you eating properly? She hugged me tightly, and I nearly broke, but held back. Valerie was watching from the top of the stairs. And fine, sweetheart, I just missed you. That night, after everyone was asleep, Lauren came to my room. Okay, Mom, tell me what's going on. And I did. I told her everything. The theft, the humiliation, the control. I watched shock turn to fury on her face. That woman, she said, trembling. Mom, why didn't you tell me sooner? Because I was afraid, I admitted. Afraid of being alone. Afraid no one would believe me. Lauren took my hands. You're never alone, Mom. Never again. And I swear she'll pay for this. She already is, I said. But I need your help. I explained the plan Patrick and I had prepared. Are you sure about this, Mom? I've never been more certain. Then count me in, she said firmly. By Saturday, Charles and Patricia had arrived. The house filled with voices and laughter again, but also with tension. Valerie sensed something was wrong. She hovered around, listening to our conversations, trying to monitor every movement. The smell of pot roast filled the kitchen as she came in every few minutes under the pretense of looking for something, her eyes sharp and restless. That afternoon, I gathered my 3 children in the backyard. Listen carefully, I said. Then I told them everything again. Charles clenched his fists. That woman, he muttered. And Robert, he asked. Robert's part of the problem, I said. He's too manipulated to see clearly. Patricia's eyes filled with tears. Mom, I'm so sorry. We didn't know. We live so far away. It's not your fault, I said gently. Valerie is skilled at hiding things, but not anymore. What do you need us to do? Lauren asked. I need you to be witnesses, I said. When the time comes, stand by what I say. You can count on us, Charles said, and the others nodded. One key piece was still missing. My younger sister, Eleanor. She lived in Denver too, and she was a notary public. She knew the law better than anyone in our family. That night, I called her. "Beatrice, what's wrong?" "Lauren said I needed to come right away." "I need you, Eleanor. Bring your legal expertise. I need you to witness something that will change everything." Eleanor arrived Sunday. She came in as though it were a normal family visit. Valerie greeted her with a strained smile. "Sister-in-law, what a surprise. I didn't know you were coming." "Oh, you know, everyone's in town. I thought I'd join the fun," Eleanor replied easily. That night, in my room, she went over every document Patrick had prepared. "This is strong, Beatrice. Very strong. You have clear cases of family fraud, financial abuse, and asset misappropriation." "Is it enough to sue her?" I asked quietly. "It's enough to send her to jail if you wanted to." The air left my lungs. "I don't want to destroy her. I just want my life back." "Then give her a choice," Eleanor said. "She can return everything and leave, or face the consequences. But be ready, Beatrice. She'll fight back hard." "I'm ready," I said. And I truly was. During those 2 weeks, I'd done more than gather my family. I had retrieved every important document: the house deed, Ernest's will, property certificates, bank records, and secured them all in a safe deposit box under my name alone. I had also obtained something crucial: a medical certificate. Patrick had sent me to a trusted geriatric specialist who conducted a full cognitive assessment: memory, reasoning, comprehension. The results were clear. Mrs. Beatrice Miller, age 68, is in full possession of her mental faculties. She shows no signs of cognitive decline or dementia. That document was my strongest weapon. When Valerie eventually tried to claim I was senile or incapable of managing my affairs, that medical report would prove her wrong. The night before the final confrontation, I couldn't sleep. I sat in bed, staring at Ernest's photo on my nightstand. "Tomorrow, I take back our home," I whispered. "I take back our dignity and make her face the consequences." In my heart, I could almost hear his voice say, "That's my girl. Show them your strength." At 7 a.m. Monday morning, Patrick Miller arrived at my house. The moment Valerie saw him walk in, her face turned pale. "Who are you?" she demanded. "Patrick Miller, attorney at law. I'm here to meet Mrs. Beatrice Miller," he replied calmly. "An attorney? What for?" she pressed. "That's between me and my client," Patrick said coldly. "Where is she?" "I'm right here," I answered, walking down the stairs with my head high. For the first time in 2 years, Valerie truly saw me, not as a weak old woman, but as the rightful owner of this home, the one about to reclaim everything she'd taken. The plan was ready, and she had no idea she was moments away from losing it all. Patrick and I sat in the living room. Valerie pretended to make coffee in the kitchen, her hands trembling. "Mrs. Miller," Patrick said loudly enough for her to hear, "please review these documents and confirm a few details." He opened a folder, though not the one containing the evidence. This was part of the setup. Your property's latest appraisal values it at $800,000. I saw Valerie freeze. She was listening to every word. "Also, have you recently signed any power of attorney documents?" "No, never," I said clearly. Valerie appeared in the doorway. "Mother-in-law, what's going on?" "Legal matters. Nothing that concerns you," I replied. Patrick interjected. "Ms. Ramirez, this is a private discussion. Could you give us a moment?" She hesitated, then went upstairs, but I knew she was eavesdropping from the landing. "Perfect," Patrick said quietly. "We'll need Robert present tonight for the final discussion. When does he return from work?" "Around 7, I replied. "Good. Are your other children ready?" "All of them. Lauren, Charles, Patricia, and my sister Eleanor. They're waiting for my signal. Then tonight's the night." As he left, he said loudly, "Mrs. Miller, please visit my office tomorrow morning to sign the update to your will." As soon as he left, Valerie rushed down the stairs. "A will? You're changing your will?" "It's just a routine update," I said, but I could see the panic in her face, because if my will changed, all her plans would crumble. The rest of the day was tense. Valerie followed me everywhere. At 5 o'clock, Lauren, Charles, and Patricia arrived. "Mom, we were just nearby and thought we'd stop in," Lauren said casually. Minutes later, Eleanor walked in. Valerie's nerves were showing. "What are we celebrating?" she asked. "Nothing," Charles replied coldly. "Just spending time with our mother." The tension was heavy in the air. At 7 o'clock sharp, Robert came home. He immediately sensed the unease. "What's going on? Why's everyone here?" "Sit down, son," I said. "We need a family talk." Valerie quickly stepped forward. "Robert, your mother had a lawyer here today. She's up to something." "I am," I said firmly. "I'm protecting my assets." "Protecting them from what?" Robert asked, confused. "From those trying to take them from me." The room went silent. I noticed a flicker of guilt in Robert's eyes, as if deep down he already suspected the truth. Valerie forced a laugh. "No one's trying to steal from you." I took out my phone and pressed play. Valerie's recorded voice filled the room. "I've almost convinced Robert to get the old woman to sign over power of attorney. After that, we can do whatever we want." Robert went pale. "What is that?" "Your wife," I said, "on my birthday, talking to her friends." I pressed play again. "The old woman's already signed papers without reading them. Robert has power of attorney. It's only a matter of time." "That's a lie," Valerie shouted. "I never said that." Lauren stood up, furious. "We all heard it." I played one more clip. "I've almost convinced Robert to put her in a home. Once she's there, we'll sell this place. It's worth $800,000. Robert's face drained of color. "No, this can't be true." Valerie yelled, "Those recordings are fake." Eleanor placed printed photos on the table. "Are these fake too? The jewelry you pawned?" Valerie's voice cracked. I was going to get them back." "With what money?" Charles demanded, throwing down the bank statements. "With the $89,000 you took from our mother?" The statements were clear. Withdrawals, transfers, and purchases, all under Valerie's name. Robert stared at the pages, his hands trembling. "Valerie, what is this?" "We needed the money for the house for..." "For what?" Robert cut her off. "We live in my mother's house. We pay no rent. What did we need nearly $90,000 for?" "For our future," she muttered weakly. "Your mother has plenty." "It's not your money," Patricia said firmly. "It never was." Valerie turned toward me, tears in her eyes. "Mother-in-law, please. I was only trying to help manage things properly." "Help?" I stood up, my voice firm. "Does help mean stealing my jewelry? Planning to put me in a home? Telling your friends I'm senile?" "I never said that," Valerie snapped. "Yes, you did," Robert shouted. "I heard you the night of my mother's birthday. You were in the kitchen telling your friends she wasn't thinking straight anymore." His voice cracked, and tears filled his eyes. "I heard it, and I did nothing." He turned to me, guilt written all over his face. "Mom, forgive me. I was a coward. I let her humiliate you. I let her steal from you." "Robert, stop." "No, Mom." He fell to his knees. "I failed you. I failed Dad. He loved you so much, and I let this woman destroy everything he built." Valerie tried to step closer. "Robert, honey, please." "Don't touch me," he said sharply, pulling away. "You lied to me. You used me. You made me turn against my own mother." "I did it for us," she pleaded. "No, you did it for yourself, for your greed and your ambition." He turned back to me. "Mom, tell me what to do. I'll fix this." I took a deep breath. "There's only one way to fix it." I looked Valerie in the eye. "You return every dollar you took. Sign a legal document giving up all claims to my estate, and move out. Otherwise, you'll face criminal charges for family fraud." Eleanor laid a document on the table. 3 to 12 years in prison, Valerie. We've already spoken to attorneys. The case is solid." Valerie swayed, pale. "No, you can't do this to me." "You did this to yourself," Lauren said flatly. "No one forced you to steal." "I wasn't stealing," Valerie argued. "I was managing the family's money." "There is no family," I said coldly. You're not part of this family. You're someone who took advantage of my trust, and it's over. Valerie looked to Robert. Tell them this isn't true. Tell them it's a mistake. But Robert's face was hard. Get out, he said quietly. What? I said, get out. I never want to see you again. Valerie began crying. You can't do this. I love Robert. I did it all because I love him. You love no one but yourself, I said calmly. Eleanor slid the documents toward her. Sign or we call the police. Valerie's hands trembled as she picked up the pen. She signed each paper, agreeing to repay $89,000 within 60 days, to give up all rights to my property, and to vacate the house within 15 days. When she finished, she dropped the pen. Happy now? No, I said, but I am at peace. She stood, gave Robert one last look, and went upstairs. We heard drawers and suitcases for the next hour. When she came back down with her bags, Robert didn't even look at her. At the door, she turned to me. You'll regret this one day, old woman. No, I said. You'll be the one who regrets losing everything to your own greed. I closed the door behind her for good. The house felt different, quiet, but clean. Not the heavy silence of the past 2 years, but one that felt calm. Even the air seemed lighter. Robert sat on the couch for hours, silent and motionless. My other children stayed the night, Lauren in her old room, Charles and Patricia in the guest rooms. And for the first time in years, I slept peacefully. The next morning, Robert came to my room. His eyes were red and swollen. Mom, I don't know how to ask for your forgiveness. I sat beside him, giving him space. I was a coward, he continued. A terrible son. When Dad died, I should have protected you. Instead, I let her destroy you. I heard her insult you and said nothing. I watched her take your money and looked away. I even agreed when she talked about putting you in a home. He covered his face. How can you even look at me? I placed my hand on his shoulder. Robert, listen to me. Valerie knew exactly how to manipulate you, how to make you feel guilty, how to isolate you. Don't blame yourself. But I should have seen it, he said. And you did, I replied. When it mattered most, you stood up and stopped her. That's what counts. Can you forgive me? He asked softly. ... I looked at him and saw not the man before me, but the boy who used to bring me flowers, the teen who comforted me after nightmares, the son who cried in my arms when his father died. I already have, I said gently. Now you need to forgive yourself. He hugged me and sobbed like a child, and I held him close. Despite everything, he was still my son. But the matter wasn't finished yet. That afternoon, Patrick called. Beatrice, we need to recover the jewelry. The pawn ticket's in Valerie's name, so technically she has to retrieve it. She won't, I said. Exactly, so we'll apply pressure. Do you have a way to reach her? Robert has her number. Good, tell him to call and warn her. If the jewelry isn't returned in 3 days, we'll press criminal charges. Robert made the call in front of all of us. Valerie answered after a few rings, her voice cold and bitter. What do you want? Robert's voice was firm over the phone. The jewelry. You have 3 days to retrieve and return them to my mother, or she will press charges. Valerie snapped back. I don't have the money to get them out of the pawn shop. Then find it, he replied sharply. If they aren't here in 3 days, you're going to jail. And I'm not joking this time. There was a pause before she hissed, I hate all of you, and hung up. 2 days later, a package arrived. Inside were my emerald earrings, pearl necklace, gold bracelets, and diamond ring, each wrapped in crumpled newspaper as if they were worthless. But they were back. I picked up the pearl necklace, the one my mother gave me on my wedding day, worn at every important event in my life, and tears rolled down my face. You got them back, Mom? Lauren asked, hugging me. Yes, I said softly. But the most important thing is still missing, the money. Patrick had already started the legal process to recover the $89,000 Valerie owed. She had signed a 60-day repayment agreement, though everyone knew she didn't have the funds. "She'll need to sell things, borrow, or find a job," Patrick explained. "But she'll pay. If not, she'll go to prison." In the weeks that followed, I began rebuilding my life. I had all the locks changed. Robert helped me. I regained control of my bank account and opened a new one in my name only. I returned to my book club. Linda met me with tears in her eyes. "Beatrice, I thought we'd never see you again." "Me too," I smiled faintly. Then I told her and the others everything. They listened in silence, some crying, others angry. "We should have done more," Linda said. "It's not your fault," I told her. Valerie was simply a skilled liar. The most meaningful talk, though, came later with Robert. We sat in the backyard where Ernest used to grill on Sundays. "Mom, I want a divorce," he said quietly. "Are you sure?" "Completely. I can't stay married to someone who's caused so much harm to my family. To you." "You don't need to do this for me," I replied. "I'm doing it for myself," he said firmly. "I've become someone Dad would have been ashamed of, and I need to find my way back. Your father loved you, son. He'd be proud that you're trying to make things right." "You think so?" "I know so." Robert filed for divorce that week. Valerie tried to fight back, asking for alimony and a share of marital property. But there was nothing to divide. They'd lived in my house, on my money. The judge ruled in Robert's favor, and 4 months later, the divorce was final. During that time, Valerie began repayment. $500 one week, $1,000 the next. Small amounts, but real progress. Patrick kept records. "At this rate, it'll take years," he noted. "It doesn't matter," I said, "as long as she pays." Because what mattered wasn't the money anymore, it was justice. Valerie had lost everything: her husband, the house, the comfort she'd tried to steal. And I'd regained what was mine: my dignity, my family, my peace. 6 months later, Robert still lived with me, but things had changed. He cooked, cleaned, shopped with me, and asked my advice on everything. He was my son again. One afternoon, as we sat in the backyard drinking coffee, he said, "Mom, I want to make up for everything. I'll work harder, help with everything. And when you're gone—" "Robert, don't talk like that. Let me finish. When you're gone, I'll make sure this house, your legacy, everything you and Dad built, is respected. It's the least I can do." "You're already doing it, son, every day," I told him. And it was true. The man before me wasn't the weak, manipulated Robert from months ago. He was someone who had fallen, learned, and stood back up, just like me. The jewelry went back into the safe, but this time I changed the combination. Only I knew it. I had learned the hardest lesson of my life: never give your power away. No matter how much you love or trust someone, your life, your money, and your choices must remain yours. But the story wasn't quite over. 6 months later, I received a call I didn't expect. Life had finally settled. Robert was working, attending church with me, cooking by my side. I had my book club, my friends, and my independence. The house finally felt like a home again. Then, one Tuesday afternoon, as I watered the garden, my phone rang, an unknown number. "Hello, Mrs. Beatrice Miller," a formal voice said. "Yes, this is she. This is Monica Herrera from Herrera and Associates. I represent Mrs. Valerie Ramirez." My grip on the phone tightened. "What does she want?" "My client requests a meeting with you in person. She says it's urgent." I have nothing to say to her. "Mrs. Miller, I understand, but I assure you it will be worth your time. Could you meet tomorrow at 3 p.m. at my office?" Something in her tone made me hesitate. What is this about? "I'd prefer my client explain in person, but I believe her proposal may interest you." That evening, I told Patrick, "Do you think I should go?" "Go," he said, "but I'm coming with you." Don't sign anything until I've reviewed it. Do you think it's a trap? With Valerie, anything's possible. But if she has a lawyer, maybe she's ready to do things properly. That's a good sign. The next day, Patrick and I went to Herrera's law firm, a modern building in a good part of town. We were escorted to a conference room, and there she was, Valerie. But she was no longer the woman who had left my house 6 months ago. She looked frail, too thin, with dark circles under her eyes and messy hair. Her clothes were wrinkled, her posture defeated. For a brief moment, I almost felt pity. Almost. "Mrs. Miller," said Ms. Herrera, "thank you for coming. My client requested this meeting because she has a proposal to settle her debt. She's already making payments." I replied, "That was the agreement." "I know," Valerie spoke softly, "but at this rate, it'll take me 8 years to pay everything back. I can't live like this for 8 years." "You should have thought of that before," I said flatly. Valerie lowered her head. "You're right. You have every reason to hate me. I was a liar, a thief, a manipulator. And now you've come to apologize? You think that fixes anything?" "No," she said, her voice breaking. "I know words can't fix what I did, but I want to make things right." Miss Herrera placed a folder on the table. "My client recently inherited an apartment from her grandmother, valued at $90,000. She opened the folder to show the deeds and appraisal documents. She's offering to transfer ownership to you as full payment of her debt. The amount covers the $89,000 owed, including interest and fees." Patrick began reviewing the papers. I looked at Valerie. "Why not just sell it and pay me in cash?" "Because I need to end this chapter," Valerie said. "I need your forgiveness so I can move on." "You don't need my forgiveness for anything." "Yes, I do. These past 6 months have been awful. I lost my husband, my home, my reputation. My friends turned away when they learned what I did." Her eyes filled with tears. "I work 12 hours a day at a call center just to afford a tiny room. I barely eat once a day. I can't sleep because of what I did." "Good," I said calmly. "That's what you earned." "I know," she whispered, "but I've changed. I understand what I did and I regret it every night. Regret doesn't bring back the time you stole. It doesn't restore the dignity or erase the humiliation." "You're right," Valerie said, wiping her tears. "None of it can be undone, but this apartment is all I have left, and I want you to have it, to prove I'm truly sorry." Patrick closed the folder. "Everything is in order, Beatrice. No liens, clean title. If you accept, we can finalize the transfer next week." I hesitated. Part of me wanted to refuse, to make her keep paying for years. But another part was tired of holding on to resentment. "Where's the apartment?" I asked. "In a decent neighborhood," Miss Herrera replied. 2 bedrooms, 1 bathroom. Needs work, but it's in a good area." A thought struck me. Robert was getting divorced and living with me. He'd need his own place soon. Patrick nodded as if reading my mind. "You could fix it up and let him start fresh there." I looked at Valerie. "I'll accept the apartment, but on one condition." "Anything. You'll sign an additional statement, acknowledging everything you did, the fraud, the lies, the abuse, all of it." "Why?" "So that if you ever try to harm me or my family again, I'll have proof." Valerie swallowed. "Okay, I'll sign it." Miss Herrera drafted the document immediately. Valerie wrote in her own hand, "I, Valerie Ramirez, acknowledge that I committed fraud and financial abuse against Mrs. Beatrice Miller. I pawned her jewelry without permission. I withdrew $89,000 from her accounts without consent. I manipulated and humiliated her for 2 years. I accept full responsibility and guilt. I transfer my inherited apartment as full repayment of my debt." She signed it with trembling hands. Then we signed the transfer documents. Everything was finalized within an hour. Valerie looked down at her hands. "What happens now?" "Now you leave," I said, "and stay away from my family." "Do you forgive me?" she asked softly. I stopped at the door. I'm not sure, Valerie. Maybe one day, but not today. I understand, she murmured. I hope you find peace, truly. Patrick and I walked out. In the elevator, he asked, Are you all right? Yes, I said, exhaling, because it's finally over. A week later, the apartment was officially transferred to my name. Robert and I went to see it. It was old and worn, but full of potential. Mom, do you really want this to be mine? He asked. Yes, but under one condition, I said. You fix it up yourself. I don't want it to feel like a gift. You need to earn it. Robert nodded, eyes moist. I will, Mom, I promise. And he did. For 3 months, Robert spent every weekend repairing that apartment. He painted, fixed the plumbing, replaced the floors. My other children came to help. It became a family project. When it was done, the apartment looked beautiful, simple, bright, and full of warmth. It's perfect, Robert said proudly. Are you moving in now? I asked. Not yet. I'd like to stay with you a little longer, if that's okay. I'd love that, I smiled. Now we both had something valuable. Robert had his own place when he was ready, and I had my home back. No debts, no deceit, no manipulators, just peace. One afternoon, as I was organizing my jewelry, Robert brought me an envelope. This came for you, Mom. Inside was a handwritten letter. Mrs. Miller, I don't expect you to read this, but I needed to write it. I've spent these past months in therapy, trying to understand why I did what I did, why I was so cruel to someone who only showed me kindness. My therapist says I carried deep resentment from my childhood, that I projected it onto you, that I treated you as my mother once treated me. This isn't an excuse, just an explanation. I want you to know that I live every day with the shame of what I did. If I could go back, I would do everything differently. Thank you for not sending me to prison, for allowing me the chance to repay my debt, and most of all, for teaching me the most important lesson of my life, that dignity cannot be bought, sold, or taken. You never lost yours, Mrs. Miller, not even when I tried to take it from you. I hope one day I can look in the mirror and feel even a fraction of the pride you must feel. With respect and regret, Valerie. I folded the letter slowly. Robert was watching, waiting. What does it say? He asked. That she learned her lesson, I replied, and that's all I needed. I placed the letter in a drawer. I didn't tear it up because despite everything Valerie had done, a part of me wanted to believe people could change, that even the worst mistakes could lead to something better. A year has passed since that painful afternoon in front of the empty safe. Today, I wake up in my home, my home. Sunlight streams through my window. Birds sing in the garden, and I can smell the coffee Robert is making. I smile because this is peace. I glance at the photo of Ernest on my nightstand. Good morning, my love. Today's a special day. I turn 69. But unlike my last birthday, this one feels different. When I go downstairs, a living room is decorated with balloons. My 4 children are all there, Lauren from Denver, Charles from Nashville, Patricia from Austin, and Robert by the table with a homemade cake. Happy birthday, Mom. The tears come easily, but they're tears of joy. My children, all together again. Lauren hugs me first. We weren't going to miss your birthday, Mom. Never again. We spend the day like a true family, cooking, laughing, sharing stories from when they were young. No tension, no secrets, no manipulation. Just love. In the afternoon, Linda and the women from the book club arrive with flowers, wrapped gifts, and warm hugs. Beatrice, you look radiant. It's because I'm free, I reply. Finally free. That night, after everyone leaves, Robert and I sit in the backyard, the same spot where Ernest and I once shared coffee every Sunday. Mom, I want to tell you something, Robert says. Go on, son. I met someone. My heart gives a small leap. A woman? He nods. Her name's Andrea. She's a teacher. I met her at the gym 3 months ago. She's different. Honest, kind, hardworking. She cares about people, not money or appearances. I smile. I'd love to meet her. Really? I thought after Valerie you wouldn't want me to bring anyone home. Robert, not everyone is like Valerie. You deserve happiness, real love. I'm taking it slow this time, he says. If it gets serious, you'll be the first to meet her. Your opinion matters. That's my boy, I say softly. We sit quietly, looking at the stars. Mom, did you ever forgive Valerie? I think for a moment. Forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting, Robert. It doesn't mean what she did was okay. It means letting go of resentment so I can live in peace. And have you let it go? Most of it, yes. Some days it still hurts, but I don't hate her anymore. That's progress, he nods. I don't hate her either. But I learned so much from that time. What did you learn? That real love doesn't make you feel small. It helps you grow. A true partner supports you, not controls you. And I've learned to always trust my instincts. Deep down, I knew something was wrong. I was just too afraid to face it. That's the most important lesson, son. The months that follow bring gentle, welcome changes. Robert moves into his apartment, the one we restored together, but still visits several times a week. We have dinner, talk, and stay close. When I finally meet Andrea, I understand why he's so fond of her. She's warm, sincere, and respectful without pretense. She asks about my life and listens with genuine interest. When she leaves, I tell Robert, now that is a good woman, son. Lauren, Charles, and Patricia visit more often too. 1 month Lauren comes with her family, then Charles, then Patricia. My home is once again filled with laughter, with grandchildren running through the halls. Life has returned. I've reclaimed my routines, visiting the farmer's market on Saturdays for fresh vegetables, pastries, and flowers. On Thursdays, I go to book club. We're reading 100 Years of Solitude and the discussions are lively. On Sundays, I attend church, lighting a candle for Ernest and telling him in silence everything that's happened. I did it, my love. I got our house back. I got our family back. And somehow I feel that you can hear me, that you're proud. About 1.5 years after everything happened, I received an unexpected call. It was Ms. Herrera, Valerie's lawyer. Mrs. Miller, I just wanted to inform you that Valerie has moved to Santa Fe. She's working as an administrative assistant at an elementary school. Why are you telling me this? I asked. She wanted me to pass along a message, Ms. Herrera said. She's rebuilding her life, still in therapy, and she thinks of you with gratitude, as strange as that may sound. She says you taught her that actions have consequences, that you could have destroyed her legally, but instead, you gave her a chance to make things right. That opportunity saved her. I hung up and sat quietly thinking. I didn't feel satisfaction or anger, only acceptance. Valerie has her own path now, and I have mine. That's enough. Today, as I water the garden, I pause in front of the rose bush Ernest planted 30 years ago. It's in full bloom, deep red, vibrant, alive. I cut a rose and place it in a vase inside the living room. I reflect on the journey, the woman I once was, scared, isolated, manipulated, and the woman I've become, strong, independent, and dignified. The jewelry now rests safely in the vault, protected. But I no longer need it to feel valuable, because I've learned that true worth doesn't come from possessions. It lies in resilience, in standing up again after every fall, in forgiving without forgetting, in holding on to your dignity, something I'll never let anyone take from me again. That evening, Robert and Andrea invite me to dinner. It's a small neighborhood restaurant, nothing fancy, but filled with warmth, laughter, and mutual respect. I watch the way Robert looks at Andrea, with admiration, kindness, and genuine love, not with the fear or guilt that once marked his relationship with Valerie. In that moment, I know my son has healed, just like I have. Later that night, I sit in my living room with a cup of tea. I look around at the furniture I fought to keep, the family photos on the walls, and the calm silence of a home finally at peace. My thoughts drift to all the women who are living what I once lived. those manipulated by family, afraid of being alone, or convinced that age has taken away their worth. To them, I want to say this: it's never too late to reclaim your dignity. You are never too old to stand up for yourself. Love for family does not excuse mistreatment. Your life is your own. Your money, your choices, your future, all belong to you. And if anyone makes you feel small or unworthy, walk away. You deserve respect, real love, and peace. My recovered jewels shine in their safe, but they glow less brightly than the light within me. The light of a woman who fell and rose stronger, of a grandmother who reclaimed her peace, of Beatrice Miller, 69 years old, widow, mother, grandmother, survivor, and free. As I turn off the lights and prepare for bed, I whisper one last thought. Thank you, Ernest, for teaching me strength, for leaving me this home, for loving me so deeply that your presence still protects me. I close my eyes and sleep in peace. After the hardest storm of my life, I have found the sun, a light no one will ever take from me again. The end. This story changed me forever. I learned that age doesn't define strength, that loneliness is never a reason to accept mistreatment, and that respect isn't requested, it's earned and expected. If this story moved you, if you saw a part of yourself in it, or if you know someone who needs to hear it, leave a comment. Tell me where you're from and what lesson you took away. Because in the end, our most precious treasures aren't the jewels we keep. They are the dignity and self-worth no one can take from us unless we allow them to.